Hi guys, welcome to today's YouTube video. Today's video is all about how to help your kids cope with COVID-19. So yesterday I was actually interviewed at my favorite local radio station and morning show, and this was the topic because what we're seeing is a lot of our kids are starting to struggle, and we as parents are trying to fit into all the roles of parent, teacher, manager, worker, all of it, and we're all doing it at home. And so we need to acknowledge how can we help our kids, how can we help ourselves, and how can we help our kids. And what are some warning signs that maybe we need to get some extra help or some counseling for our children. And I do want to remind you that right now, therapists, even myself, we're still working during the midst of COVID-19. A lot of it is done through telehealth or telemedicine. But if your kid is struggling, or if you're struggling and you do need some extra help, please reach out and get the help you need. And I will put a link to Psychology Today in the comment section if you do want to find a therapist in your area. So first, I just want to say, in the midst of all of this, I think it's important to remember that our kids, are grieving. And a lot of times we don't remember that, or we don't even think about that, or we're so busy, and not because we don't want to pay attention, but we're so busy with our own grief or our own sudden change that, our kids can sometimes kind of be left aside. So what we want to do is first acknowledge, hey, we know you're grieving and there's been a significant loss. And, maybe you're missing your friends or just missing school. Maybe that's the case. You don't know, but you want to be able to just name it for them. And I think it's really important to acknowledge their feelings and to validate or to name their emotions. And remember that a lot of times kids just don't come to you and say, hey, mom or dad, I'm feeling this way. Kids tend to express their emotions in very different ways. And so just to watch out for, you as a parent know your kids the best. So you want to make sure that you watch out for any difference. If your child's temperament was pretty even keel and now all of a sudden, they're more emotional or irritable, then, you just want to sit down with them and kind of check in. Hey, how you doing? So, what are some warning signs that your child might be struggling more is irritability or any sudden mood changes. Overcompliance or perfectionism is also something that you want to look out for. Any sudden change in sleeping or eating habits is also something that you want to look out for. Social isolation or withdrawal. So, you're saying, okay, Monica, well, we can't go out and be social anyways. But if you're noticing that, there's someone who wants to talk to their friends a lot and now they don't want to talk to their friends at all, that's a sign that something's going on. And so I think that those are things that are really important that you want to say, hey, what's going on and how can I help? And as a parent, we're also struggling with our own change, like I was saying. And so we want to not only acknowledge that, but also within ourselves, but also model for our children how we're taking care of ourselves. And, and so it's like saying, what are small ways that I'm going to take care of myself that I'm also modeling for my child or children? And, keeping a routine. So what are some things? I said earlier, acknowledging or validating or even naming their emotions. Keeping a routine. So maybe you don't have the exact same routine, but as a family, come together and say, how can we create a new family routine? I think that's another important piece. So are you still waking up, having breakfast, getting dressed, even before you go to homeschool? In our family, we still wake up, we still get dressed, we still have breakfast, and then we go to homeschool. And then when homeschool is done, we usually do something outside. We go for a walk, we go play basketball, just as a way to break up the day. So I think doing things that are going to help your family kind of stick to a structure. And then part of it is, while you're talking about routine, if you're doing a family meeting, like for this week, what do we want our routine to look like? You can also incorporate, with their help, what sort of family, quote unquote, fun you're gonna have. You know, what are ways that you guys are gonna get out and be active or play, you know, go out in nature. And being in nature, having fun, moving your body, those are all good ways for your brain and also for your emotions to feel better. And, you know, I think that those are important things that you need to incorporate right now. I think it's good to incorporate exercise, you know, every day, but especially right now, getting out in nature and finding ways to move your body helps you cope with the amount of stress that you're in right now. You know, if you're going to talk about COVID-19, you need to communicate the facts and not the fears. And if you and your partner want to talk about the stress, or, you know, maybe there's been a sudden change in your job or loss of income, and you're just kind of wanting to vent to your partner, make sure that you do that in a space where your kids can't hear it. And that way you're still being able to express, or maybe plan with your partner what you guys are going to do a little bit differently, but it's not in their face. And so I think that that's another important piece. Facts, not fears. It's okay to say to them that you're stressed and that you guys have to look at how you're going to plan a little bit differently, but they don't want to. But don't let them hear some of your fears or your concerns, or, you know, the constant over and over and over again. So it's okay to talk about it, but remember to use your parent filter. And in terms of COVID-19, again, know the facts and not fears. I tell parents, go to the CDC website. That's where you're getting all your facts. Even the World Health Organization has really good facts for you. In terms of mental health, NAMI, which is the National Alliance of Mental Illness, they have some great information on how to care for your mental health, how to help your kids care for your mental health, and also they do talk a little bit about COVID-19 too, and it's all good information for you. So the other piece is be kind to yourself and teach your kids to be kind to themselves too. You know, let go of unrealistic expectations. You know, if you don't start school right at 9 o'clock, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Maybe your kid needs a little bit extra time because they're just having a rough day, or, you know, maybe during the day, instead of just take a walk, especially if you know they're just having a rough day. You know, let go of everything has to be perfect. Please remember, even outside of COVID-19, nothing is perfect. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes, and you want to communicate that as well. You know, and then how can you create, I kind of hinted at it earlier, just creating those healthy habits. Not only how are you going to move your body, but, you know, maybe what sort of healthy meals are you eating? How are you practicing mindfulness? And you can even do this with your kids. Mindfulness is being present in the moment. So, you know, communicating, all we need to plan for is right now. And instead of getting caught up in like, what's going to happen, which we're all there, like, what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen, and we just don't know. And so it's like, what's happening right now? What do we need for right now? And then reminding yourself and reminding your kids, like, all we can do is focus on what's in our control. And so for today, what's in our control? And, you know, I think that's another helpful hint that helps limit their, you know, amount of stress or thinking about their fear or worry or concern about the future. The other thing to remember is find ways to connect with them and reassure them. Giving some good reassurance of, we're in this together, we have each other, how are we gonna laugh and smile? If you are in struggle, I'm here for you. And, you know, if you are, you know, someone who has to be outside and working and you can't always be around for your kids, I think it's absolutely okay to contact family members, or, you know, if your kids were involved in sports, contacting their coaches and just saying, hey, can you check in with my son or daughter because they're in struggle today, or they just want to hear your voice. And I even know some teachers are doing that too. Teachers are reaching out just to check in with their students too, because we all miss each other. So finding ways to still stay connected, even in the midst of, you know, being socially isolated or quarantined. And for older kids, it's okay that they still have contact with their friends, but they have to be safe. And when I say contact, maybe finding ways to communicate through technology. And so asking your kid, your older kid or teenager, how can you still communicate? What are some good creative ways that you can still communicate and touch base with your friends, because that is important for them. And then, maybe as a family, creating like a gratitude list. So every day before you guys go to sleep, just talk about what are some things that you're grateful for. So again, it is, what are some tips that you can help your kids with? It's acknowledging, validating, or even naming their emotions for them. Creating healthy habits. In what ways are you moving your body? How are we eating healthy foods? What sort of fun family activities are we going to plan for today? And, remember the mindfulness piece. Creating, I didn't say this, but I'm saying it now, even creating a good sleep routine. When are you going to bed? And, kind of just saying rest is important, just like moving your body is important. I also think it's important, as I said earlier, to focus on how can you stay connected as a family, with friends, with teachers or coaches. Who are you getting to help check in with your child and with yourself too? And if you do notice that your child is struggling a little bit more, again, sudden changes in mood or irritability, not sleeping or eating in the same ways that they are, just seemed really withdrawn or quiet, or that overcompliance or perfectionism, then it is time to contact a therapist. And or if your child was already in therapy prior to this, make sure you're still keeping with your same mental health plan. Facts, not fears. You want to limit. You also want to limit the amount of time that you are on social media, or your child is on social media, and even just media in general. We don't need to be. We don't need to be on the TV or the media or social media all the time, and that can be very dangerous. So we want to limit that as well. Letting go of any unhealthy expectations, as I said earlier, and being kind to yourself, and being kind, teaching your kids to be kind to themselves too. And then the last thing is, remember to keep a routine. So coming together as a family and creating a new family routine is important, and then sticking to it. And you can check in, every week to say, okay, this was our routine last week. Do we want to keep this, or is there anything that we want to change up? So those are just some quick tips. What are some things to look out for? So what are some warning signs? And what are some quick tips to help your kids through this, to help yourself and to help your kids through this time of COVID-19? All right, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for weekly updates all about relationships. Have a great day.